Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through stacks of sources to give you the core knowledge, the full picture, without you having to do all the reading.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're digging into something really fundamental.
Mm.
It's something we all do, probably without much thought.
Mm-hmm.
The evening routine, that shift from day to night.
Yeah, and this is a great topic because it's all about, practical everyday stuff. We're looking at how people consciously or maybe unconsciously shift gears.
Right, from being on all day to winding down for rest.
Exactly. And understanding this whole process, this transition, is actually pretty vital. The quality of your sleep often really hinges on how well you manage this winding down period. It's not just about flopping into bed.
Absolutely. So we've looked at research on habits, chronobiology, all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems to point towards maybe a 4-part journey, chronologically speaking.
Yeah, the sequence.
Our mission today, then, is to trace those steps. What are the key actions? What do they, signify psychologically? And why does being consistent actually matter so much for getting good rest?
Think of it like we're trying to reverse engineer relaxation.
I like that.
We're trying to find the basic building blocks, the common actions and words people use for a successful nightly reset. So you can take this info and, maybe apply it to your own rhythm right away.
Okay, let's jump in. Let's unpack this routine, starting right at the beginning, the moment it all kicks off. So the sources seem pretty clear on this. The evening routine doesn't strictly start by the clock, like at 6 p.m. sharp. It starts with an action.
Mm-hmm. A physical transition.
Yeah, the moment of arrival. When you actually get home after work or school or whatever you were doing outside and you step through your front door, that's the trigger.
And that physical act of coming inside, psychologists sometimes call that a temporal landmark. It's like a boundary in time.
Okay.
And it really needs to be treated as a distinct break, a hard stop. If you let all the outside stuff, the emails, the work thoughts, demands from people just follow you right into the house.
You're kind of sabotaging the routine before it starts.
Pretty much, yeah. You undermine the whole point. That front door, ideally, it needs to symbolize a barrier. Obligation outside, comfort inside.
Makes sense. So you step inside.
Yeah.
What's the very first thing? The sources almost universally mention this one symbolic action.
Ah, the shoes.
Kicking off your shoes or taking off your shoes seems minor, but apparently not.
No, it's fascinating how much weight that simple action carries. Just taking off your shoes, it's a really powerful signal.
How so?
Well, think about it. Your work shoes or just, your outside shoes, they often represent the hustle, maybe the discomfort, the structure of the day.
Right? Formal shoes, boots.
Exactly. When they come off, it's not just your feet feeling better, it's a psychological release too. You're literally loosening the constraints of the day.
Huh. I never thought of it quite like that.
And if you delay it, if you walk around inside with your outside shoes on for ages, your brain kind of stays in that outside mode, ready for action,
Okay.
So
Okay.
taking them off quickly, decisively, it helps the brain register. Okay, performance over, we're home now.
So shoes off, boundary established. What comes next to really cement that shift? The sources talk about the comfort shift, changing clothes.
Another crucial step, and it's not just about being warmer or cooler, it's again about signaling a different mode of being.
You mean like getting out of the work uniform, literally or figuratively?
Precisely. A lot of people find that if they stay in their work clothes, even if they're sitting on the sofa, they're much more likely to, say, check work email or keep thinking about work problem.
Because the clothes themselves are linked to that mindset.
Yeah, the structured feel may be slightly restrictive.
Right.
It carries a certain cognitive association, a mental load. So changing into comfortable clothes could be sweatpants, joggers, an old t-shirt, shorts if it's warm.
Or, as the sources mention, even putting on pajamas really early, which I know some people do.
Yes, and that's a great example of proactive relaxation. It's like saying, okay, I am done for the day.
It minimizes the steps later, too.
It does. It reduces the friction between just relaxing and actually getting ready for bed later on. It's a clear commitment to comfort. The key insight here is that this physical change helps you shift gears mentally. From that structured, task-focused work mode to a looser, more relaxed rest and recover mode.
You're basically training your brain.
Yeah.
These clothes mean safety, downtime, ease.
Exactly. Without that physical cue, that physical boundary, the mental switch can be sluggish. It might not fully happen, and that can definitely impact how well you sleep later.
Okay, so boundary set, days skin shed, comfort embraced. The external demands are literally peeled off. What comes next? Usually it's the internal demands making themselves known, like hunger, Usually around, what, 7 p.m. maybe?
Yeah, once you're comfy, the focus often shifts to sustenance, food. The sources mark this phase pretty clearly with that internal cue. Your stomach starts to grumble, as they put it.
Okay, time to eat. So we're probably heading towards the kitchen now.
And this is where you can really see the impact of the day's energy drain or maybe decision fatigue. Well, the sources point to basically two main paths here regarding dinner. First, there's actually preparing a meal at home.
Right, for people who maybe still have some energy, or maybe they actually enjoy cooking.
Exactly. They find the process itself kind of meditative, the chopping vegetables, stirring a pot, putting pasta on. For some, those rhythmic actions are part of the winding down. It channels energy.
Cooking is therapy, almost.
Sort of, yeah. But then there's the flip side, which, let's be honest, is probably more common on busy days.
When you just don't have it in you.
Right, when you don't have the bandwidth for chopping and stirring. So the sources highlight the quick options. Heating up leftovers from yesterday.
A classic.
Or if you're really depleted, just ordering takeout or delivery. They even mention specific go-tos like pizza or a burger, the easy button options.
And this variability is important, right, for you listening. It means your routine doesn't have to be the same every single night.
Absolutely. A good routine needs to flex with your energy levels. The main goal here is just getting nourished without adding a ton of extra stress, physical or mental. If the thought of cooking feels like another huge chore, it kind of defeats the purpose of winding down.
So it's about managing that limited evening energy, deciding if cooking is genuinely restorative for you tonight, or if it's just another task draining your batteries.
That's the critical calculation. Is this action helping me unwind, or is it demanding more complex thinking and effort? If it's the latter, go for the easy option. No guilt.
Okay, so food's being prepared, or maybe it's arrived. What happens while you're waiting or while you're eating? It's usually not silent, is it?
Rarely. This is where we often see some kind of ambient activity, usually involving media.
Like turning on the TV, catching up on news, watching a game.
Yeah, those are common examples, but this is actually one area where habit research offers a bit of a caution.
Oh, how so?
While the distraction can feel nice, really intense or stimulating stuff like, stressful breaking news or a really competitive sports match that can actually spike your adrenaline and cortisol.
Not great for digestion or for relaxing later on, I guess.
Exactly. It can interfere with both. So while lots of people do it, it might make true winding down a bit harder later.
That's a really good point. So what's the alternative the sources suggest, besides just silence?
Putting on some background music is often mentioned, and it's usually described specifically as calm and relaxing.
Not necessarily music you have to actively listen to.
Right, more just something to provide, as one source put it, noise in the house, which I find interesting.
Noise in the house. Yeah, what does that imply?
It suggests it's not about engaging with content, but about creating a pleasant atmosphere. Filling the quiet evening void with something soothing, something non-demanding, it eases that shift from the day's maybe auditory chaos.
So it's less mentally taxing than processing news or following a complex plot. Cognitive hygiene while you eat, maybe.
That's a good way to put it. Passive auditory engagement, much less demanding.
Okay, so dinner's done. Whether you cooked, reheated, or ordered in, there's usually one task left that follows, maybe around 8 p.m. The one many of us dread.
Yes. Doing the dishes, the unavoidable cleanup.
It's noted as not a favorite task, which feels like an understatement sometimes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the sources are pretty consistent here. Really effective evening routines often include doing the dishes right away after dinner, not letting them pile up.
Why the urgency? Is it just about a clean kitchen?
It's more than that. It taps into a psychological need for closure. It's what some call the emotional connection to finishing a task.
Closure, okay. Tell me more.
Well, there's this thing called the Zeigarnik effect. Basically, our brains are wired to remember unfinished tasks much more persistently than completed ones.
So an undone task creates lingering mental noise.
Exactly. Low-level stress. A sink full of duty dishes is essentially a visible, unfinished task, a little pocket of chaos in your environment.
So by tackling it straight away, even though it's annoying,
You're eliminating that source of mental clutter, that background hum of, ugh, still got to do the dishes. It's a small act, but it provides a sense of control and completion.
it closes the book on the dinner mess chapter of the evening.
Precisely. And that feeling, the sources mention that a clean kitchen feels great, that's the feeling of reducing your mental load. Clearing the decks, so to speak, so you can properly move into the next phase.
Yeah.
Actual relaxation and decompression.
Okay. Kitchen reset. Now we move into what feels like the most personal part of the routine, the dedicated winding down time.
Right. This phase, maybe starting around 8:30 or 9 p.m., this is really the core of unwinding mentally. It's crucial because what you do here directly impacts how ready your brain is for sleep later.
So you can't just rush through this bit.
Ideally not. If you skip or rush this decompression, your stress hormones, like cortisol, might stay elevated. And that makes it harder to actually fall asleep when you get into bed. You might lie there buzzing.
Okay, so what are the main ways people decompress? The sources talk about leisure and mental escape. Reading seems like a big one.
Yes, reading a physical book, especially fiction, comes up a lot as highly effective.
Why physical? Why fiction?
Well, reading a physical book requires sustained focus on something completely separate from your daily life, your stresses. It pulls you into a different world.
An escape, literally.
Exactly. And the mention of reading in a special reading chair highlights the power of ritual, associating a specific place with that deep absorption. Plus, unlike scrolling online, reading a book promotes a more linear, calm way of thinking, rather than the fragmented jumping around we do online.
But let's be real, reading isn't everyone's go-to. Digital and media consumption is huge. Watching a movie, a TV series, maybe with family.
Or playing a video game for a bit. Or just browsing the internet on a tablet or phone. These are obviously very common.
But potentially problematic,
Yeah.
like we discussed with TV during dinner.
Potentially, yeah. It really depends on what you're consuming and how. Watching a familiar, low-stakes TV show might be fine, genuinely relaxing. But high-arousal content, scary movies, intense dramas, competitive games, probably not ideal right before bed.
And what about just browsing the internet? Scrolling social media, reading news articles.
That tends to be less helpful for winding down. Why? Because it involves constant context switching. Your brain is making tiny decisions every few seconds. Click here, read this, skip that.
Keeping the decision-making part of the brain very active.
Exactly. Your prefrontal cortex is buzzing. Plus, you have the blue light issue from the screens, which can directly mess with your body's melatonin production, the sleep hormone.
So the key difference seems to be passive, sustained engagement, like watching a calm show, versus active, fragmented engagement, like scrolling.
That's a great way to summarize it. One lowers the mental demand, the other keeps it high, or even increases it. The best leisure activities in this phase should require minimal effort and decision-making.
Okay. Beyond pure leisure, the sources also mention social connection as being important for some people here.
Yes, this was interesting. It's not just passive scrolling through feeds, but actively connecting.
Like the specific action mentioned. Calling parents or a friend, just to chat for a bit.
This seems to act as a kind of emotional release valve before you turn fully inward for sleep.
How so?
Humans are social creatures, right? We need that sense of connection. A short, focused chat with someone you care about, just checking in, hearing their voice. It can provide a little boost of positive feeling, maybe some dopamine. It can also help discharge any small social stresses or anxieties from the day.
Provides a bit of emotional closure before you sign off.
Exactly, before the final, more solitary steps towards bed.
Okay, one more element in this phase
Yeah.
before the final prep for bed. Physical movement.
Yeah, this is often recommended, especially if the rest of your evening has been pretty sedentary, sitting at dinner, sitting on the couch.
So not like an intense workout.
Definitely not. The suggestion is usually something gentle, like taking a short walk around the block, especially if the weather's nice.
And the benefits are.
Kind of twofold, according to the sources. First, just breathing in some fresh air can help clear the head, as they say, a bit of a mental reset.
Yeah.
And second, the light physical activity itself can actually help you feel more tired and ready for bed.
How does that work?
Yeah.
Seems counterintuitive, maybe.
It's partly about core body temperature. When you move, your temperature goes up slightly. Then, when you stop and come back inside to a cooler environment, your core temperature starts to drop. And that drop is actually a natural signal to your brain that it's time to prepare for sleep.
Interesting. Like mimicking the natural cool down at sunset.
Kind of, yeah. Plus, just getting outside for a few minutes, changing your scenery, looking at the sky or the streetlights, it helps break the monotony of being indoors and signals a final release of the day's tension.
Okay, so we've set the boundary, eaten, cleaned up, relaxed the mind through reading or maybe some calm media, connected socially, and maybe moved the body gently. We're getting close now. Time for the final steps.
Exactly. This last phase, maybe around 10 p.m. or whenever your target bedtime approaches, is usually very ritualized. It's non-negotiable stuff. We're talking about the essential hygiene rituals.
And the signal for this starting is often just physically heading to the bathroom.
Hmm. That's the trigger. The final preparation sequence has begun.
And the absolute must-dos here are pretty universal, right? Brushing
Mhm.
teeth, washing your face.
Yep. Basic hygiene, but also powerful sensory cues. That feeling of being clean, fresh.
Hmm.
It physically scrubs away the day.
And the actions themselves are probably quite automatic, soothing even.
Very much so. These are repetitive, low-effort motor tasks: brushing, rinsing, patting dry. They require almost no thinking, which is calming in itself. They provide a sense of order, of preparing properly for rest. It's very grounding.
Then beyond the basics, the sources mention adding a little something extra sometimes, like a self-care edition. Putting on moisturizer is the example given.
Yeah, described as a nice little self-care moment.
And this isn't strictly necessary for hygiene, but it serves a purpose.
It does. It elevates the routine from just a chore to a small act of nurturing yourself. Taking that extra minute to care for your skin or maybe do a quick stretch, whatever it is for you, it reinforces the idea that rest is a positive thing you're preparing for.
Makes it feel like a reward, not just shutting down.
Exactly. It adds a little positive reinforcement to the whole routine.
Okay, what about showers? Some people shower at night. Is that part of this final phase?
It can be, yeah. If you didn't shower in the morning, a quick warm shower here is often mentioned.
And the emphasis is on warm, not hot or cold.
Yes, the temperature detail is key here, physiologically. A warm shower does something interesting. It causes vasodilation. Your blood vessels widen, especially near the skin,
Okay.
so blood rushes to the surface. Then, when you get out of the warm shower into the cooler air of the bathroom or bedroom, your body rapidly radiates that heat away from the skin.
Causing your core temperature to drop, like the walk outside did.
Precisely. It triggers a slight but significant drop in core body temperature. And that drop is one of the strongest biological signals for your brain to start releasing melatonin and gear up for sleep. It's a neat little biohack.
Clever. Okay, body clean, maybe warmed and cooled, ready for rest. But the mind has one last job: future readiness.
Yes. This is about easing anxiety about tomorrow morning. It's a final cognitive check and prep.
And the absolute #1 task here, emphasized as crucial.
Setting the alarm for the next morning. And the sources specifically say check it twice.
To avoid that middle of the night panic, did I set my alarm?
Exactly. Checking it twice eliminates that worry, prevents potential stress spikes while you're trying to sleep. It's peace of mind.
The final act of responsibility for the day. And it often extends to other small prep tasks too, right?
Mm-hmm. Things like quickly preparing or packing your lunch for the next day, getting your bag ready by the door, laying out your clothes for the morning.
Why bother doing that when you're tired? Why not just do it in the morning?
Because it removes decisions from your future, possibly groggy morning self.
Oh, reducing morning decision fatigue.
Totally. Choosing clothes, figuring out lunch. These are small decisions, but they add friction to your morning. By doing them the night before, you're essentially prepaying the effort. You're making your morning smoother, less stressful. You're setting yourself up for success.
Transferring the cognitive load from your rested future self to your tired but capable current self.
Well put. It's a smart investment of energy.
Okay. Alarm set, lunch pack, clothes out, body clean, mind hopefully calm.
Yeah.
What's the very final action?
The final action is simply getting into bed.
Finish line.
The ultimate goal, as the sources say, is to close my eyes and fall asleep quickly. Maybe read just a few more pages of that book if you need to bridge the gap, but this moment, getting into bed, is the culmination of everything that came before. The whole routine was designed to make this transition into sleep as smooth and effective as possible.
That sequence boundary, food, unwinding, prepping, it's really quite structured when you break it down like that. But why is sticking to that structure, that consistency, so important?
The consistency factor. That's where the real magic happens psychologically. The sources say a consistent routine can really make a difference, and the reason is it builds a powerful conditioned response.
It's like Pavlov's dogs, but for sleep.
Kind of, yeah. Each step, shoes off, change clothes, brush teeth, acts as a cue. When your brain experiences these cues in the same predictable order night after night.
It starts to anticipate what's coming next.
Exactly. It learns the sequence. Shoes off means comfy clothes are next. Dinner done means dishes, then maybe reading. Brushing teeth means bed is imminent.
And that anticipation creates that sense of calm and predictability the sources talk about.
Precisely. It reduces mental resistance. Your body and brain aren't fighting the transition to sleep. They're flowing along a familiar pathway. It knows winding down is happening, and it starts the physiological processes for sleep automatically. Less effort, less anxiety.
And this whole breakdown, this structure, it's actually really practical for you, the listener, right?
Yeah.
Even just for language learning.
Immensely practical because it uses, real life English. These aren't abstract concepts. They're actions you probably do every day. So breaking down your own evening using these phases, arrival, food, leisure, hygiene, gives you immediate language to talk about your life.
It makes the vocabulary stick because it's personal.
Right. It moves words off a list and into your actual experience, your narrative.
Okay, let's quickly run through that sequence one last time just to reinforce those key actions in the flow, using that transition language.
Sure. So it kicks off with the physical boundary acts. Getting home, kicking off those shoes, changing clothes maybe into sweatpants or even pajamas early.
Then the sustenance phase. Preparing dinner if you have energy, or heating up leftovers, maybe ordering takeout. And crucially, doing the dishes right after for that mental closure.
Then comes decompression. That could be focused relaxation like reading a book or maybe listening to calm music. We noted the difference from potentially stimulating digital stuff. Also, maybe that important social connection, like calling a family member or a friend, and perhaps that gentle physical movement, like a short walk.
And the final straight, the preparation sequence. Heading to the bathroom for the hygiene rituals, brushing teeth, washing face, maybe a quick warm shower, that little self-care moment like moisturizer. Then the vital future-proofing. Setting the alarm, check it twice. Prepping lunch or clothes.
And finally, the reward. Getting into bed, hopefully ready to fall asleep quickly. It's a whole journey told through simple actions.
Now, if hearing all this detail feels a bit much, like, wow, my routine isn't that structured, remember the core idea is simplicity in practice.
Absolutely. The confidence-building tip here is just to practice describing your sequence simply. You don't need fancy sentences.
Like what?
Like, first I get home around 6, then I make dinner. After that, I watch TV for an hour. Then I brush my teeth, set my alarm, and go to bed. Simple as that.
And saying it out loud, maybe, even just to yourself.
Yeah. Try narrating your routine as you do it, or maybe afterwards in front of a mirror. Okay, now I'm changing clothes. Next, I'll heat up dinner. It sounds silly, maybe, but it makes the phrases feel really natural and embeds them, makes them yours.
And one last important point. This framework is a guide, not a rigid prescription.
Definitely. We covered the common, almost universal actions, but your routine is unique. If unwinding for you involves playing guitar for 20 minutes or doing some stretching or writing in a journal, those become essential parts of your sequence.
The power is in making it consistent and making it work for you personally. Hashtag tag outro.
So we've talked a lot about the necessary actions, the things you kind of have to do to function the next day, brushing teeth, setting that alarm, the essential.
Right, the baseline.
But often the thing that makes a routine sustainable, the thing that makes you want to do it, isn't the chore. It's those small optional moments of enjoyment tucked within it.
Okay, so as you, our listener, think about all this. Maybe as you go through your own routine tonight, here's something to consider. A final thought. What's small, maybe technically optional, part of your evening could be putting on that moisturizer, reading those extra few pages in your favorite chair, taking that short walk, maybe sipping a specific tea. What's the one little bit that you actually genuinely enjoy and look forward to?
Yeah, try to pinpoint that single rewarding micro moment, because that feeling, that little bit of pleasure or satisfaction, that's your anchor.
Your motivation to keep the whole system going.
Exactly. It's the psychological reward that makes the effort of consistency feel worthwhile. It ensures the routine doesn't just feel like a list of obligations.
So find that anchor and use it to help maintain that crucial boundary between the day's demands and the night's essential rest. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the end of the day.
We hope this was useful. Farewell.